Okay, everything in this video is an opinion. It's conjecture. It's my thoughts. That's all it is, okay? And I have the, oh man, the filter's on. You see that? The green screen filter's on the whole time, man. Hello, and welcome back to another Reality Check VR video. I don't know what that was either. I kind of didn't really want to make this video for some reason because, even though I have actually played with the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift S, and I've had experience with the Reverb and the HoloLens 2 and the Pico, and the only headset I actually haven't had experience with is the PAX, really. And that's somewhat by choice. Regardless, I don't feel too comfortable sharing my opinions, partly because I have not had enough time myself to feel comfortable with these headsets. And with the S, I only played it for just a few minutes, so I didn't actually get enough time to really get an all in-depth review. Even so, I do want to take some time to express my thoughts on the different headsets because I figured that might be useful to you guys. So anyways, I'm going to try to make this video concise, quick, and relatively to the point, so to a value to you guys. I want to say thank you for anybody who was paying attention to the videos that I've been putting out. I was at GDC last week, and I tried really hard to put out some fun content. Sometimes it gets missed by some people, but that's okay. We had this wonderful article that came out by Road to VR talking about the Oculus Rift S versus the Oculus Quest, the specs and the features, as well as talking about the original Oculus Rift that we've got right here. And I got to at least express my opinions, right? One funny thing that we heard people kept saying was that they thought the field of view was a little bit smaller. From what I can read on the article, it seems like the field of view is like 5 degrees larger. I can't verify that, I really don't know, but it says it's a little bit bigger than the original Rift. I can tell you the very first thing when I first put on the Rift S, the first time I put it on over my head, the first thing I was actually looking for was, is the field of view smaller? And I wanted to know. So the first thing I looked at, I thought, no, I didn't honestly notice the field of view being smaller. I didn't notice it being larger, but I certainly didn't notice it being smaller either. So initially, as soon as I put it on, I just thought to myself, meh. When I did put the headset on, there's a lot less light leak. I mean, it's literally, you've got this rubber piece that goes on your eyes now, so it covers all the light leak, and because of that, you're much more in a dark world in the Rift, and because of that, I feel like some people think that there might be a smaller field of view because it is literally feeling like a tighter, darker gap, but that's because you don't have this little gap down below where you normally see. So I think maybe some people's brains are confusing that with the field of view, possibly. Anyways, not only that, but as far as the headset itself, I really did not notice any problems with tracking. When it came to moving my head very quickly back and forth and moving my hands around, I did not see a problem with tracking. And I know there is the 80 hertz difference as opposed to the 90 hertz of the Rift right here, and I'm somebody who gets queasy very easy, so when I have problems with my perception not lining up with reality or even the virtual reality, there's problems, and I didn't have that problem with this headset. I also didn't have that problem with the Oculus Quest when I tried that either, and that's 72. So there's something that they're doing with these panels, this fast switch in the LCD on the Rift S, and of course on the screen on the Quest, they're doing things that allow it to work for people like me who do get queasy easy, and it seems to work okay. I didn't have any, like I said, problems with the refresh rate whatsoever. When I was playing with the Rift S, I played Asgard's Wrath, so I didn't actually play multiple experiences. I didn't get to see the colors and the differences between the blacks and the grays. For me, it was a very good experience for what it was. But I really want to spend more time with the Rift S, and luckily I'm going to be going to PAX, so I'm going to get an opportunity to do that in this next week, and we'll get more in-depth videos, and we'll have a lot more experience with the device and have a lot better feedback at that point in time. So one thing I did do when you're playing the game, you've actually got like, your sword, and you've got like a short sword in the other hand, and as I was playing, I took my long sword, and I put it behind my back, right? So you can actually like see the sword sticking out. And I wanted to be able to see, like in my headset, looking over here, could I see my sword, the way it should be if I was playing with it with this hand? And doing this, pushing my head this way, I had all cameras facing obviously as much as they could, top cameras facing this way, and even though my hand is, the lower part behind my back, I can still say honestly the sword was matching up the way that it should be. Like maybe once the entire time I was throwing it around, it seemed like it kind of did something a little weird, but I assume their math is pretty good when they've got it back there and the cameras can't see it. They kind of know what to do with your hands. Having said that, I do not know if I fully trust it yet with behind the back movements, although you absolutely can hand things off behind the back. That does work. I'm interested to see how well it works with Echo Arena. So one goal of mine is to get a Rift S and to play a bunch of Echo Arena, do behind the back passes and tosses, and just kind of go crazy and see if I have any differences between the Rift S and the original Rift right here, because that is something I think is very important. Lastly, the one last thing I want to talk about with the Rift S and the original Rift is, of course, this little IPD adjustment below right here. You guys know all about it, and Palmer Luckey did an article just earlier about it, and you know, you've got like this little thing here that moves it from, like, you know, 58 millimeter to 70 millimeters, and you can, like, you know, whether your eyes are close together like mine or far apart like Palmer Luckey's, you can actually see in VR clearly because that IPD adjustment. The Rift S does not have a physical adjustment, it has a software adjustment. And as many people said, that only helps for scale, right? Maybe this will make some people feel better, but for example, the Oculus Go, this also has software IPD. It does not have a physical IPD slider on the bottom of it either. And when I'm using the Oculus Go, almost instantly, every time I put it on, my eyes do this weird little crossy thingy where they don't quite match up with this headset. So I get kind of a headache, and I can play with it, but I have to kind of really get in the right sweet spot, and I have to just sit in that sweet spot, you know. So moving it around too much, it can actually make me kind of sick pretty easily wearing this headset. Even though I really do like it for traveling, I take it with me every time I go somewhere, right? So that's a point right there. Like I was saying, when I put on the Oculus Go, I noticed the IPD problem almost instantly. When I put on the Oculus Rift S, one of the things I was actually looking for was, how does this feel? Does it make me feel like the Go does? And I can say, surprisingly, it did not. When I put on the Oculus Rift S, I did not notice any problems with the IPD initially. I only played for about 3 minutes. I played Asgard's Wrath, and I did not get to jump from experience to experience. So I don't know if the IPD was just at that moment feeling okay, or if the headset was just fitting in the perfect spot, or maybe it just works just fine. I don't really know. I need more time to play with the headset, but what I can say is it did not make me sick initially like the Go did. And even though I do like the Go, it does have that problem. So I am a little bit worried and wary with the Rift S. I'm interested to see how much time I can have with it, and how that time, you know, fares, as long as it doesn't make me sick, or if it, you know, if it does. Here I am traveling. I'm in LA right now, and I was just at GDC in San Francisco, and we're about to go to PAX over in Boston. So I'm traveling around, and I got my Rift with me, and I want to play games, you know, and I'm trying to get ready. But what do I have to do every time I want to play? I've got to get my headset, I've got my cable, I've got my sensors, I've got to hook up all these sensors every single time. So, you know, it's just this hectic, chaotic mess. Clearly, the Oculus Quest is going to solve this problem for us. But if I had an S as well, it'd be similarly, you know, a solution. Because if I wanted to play games that aren't available on the Quest, I've got my laptop, and I could just have just simply the Rift S and throw it on. So right now, in the situation that I'm currently in as a traveler, I would love to have the S. It would be such a dream come true, because I don't want to deal with taking all these things around. But when I'm at home and I've got my VR room and everything's perfect, I don't really mind having the sensors, and I love the ability to have a headset that's tracked so well. And not only that, but there's headphones built onto the sucker. They're built onto the sucker, you know, like they're on the headset, and they go on my head, and they cover my ears, and they're so nice. And I can use this in a location-based, you know, experience place, because, you know, like in a VR arcade, you've got lots of noise around you all the time. And when you're in a VR arcade, you need to be able to have headphones on your head. You need to be able to have a headset that has them included, because you don't want to be fidgeting with people and customers and putting this on and headphones on, little kids and adults and different people. You need a headset that has it all enclosed. So for now, the Rift S has just audio coming out of the actual straps themselves. The audio just kind of pops out down, and it's directed towards your ears, but it's not good enough for the location-based stuff that we do. So hopefully there's going to be a way to maybe change the band. I'm assuming that there's going to be some third party that'll come out with something like a sport band or something. And if that's true, then that'll make it possible. It'll make it easier for people who like to do VR esports to actually play and use the device. Especially for Onward, when they have to listen to footsteps and hear those kinds of things, you need some kind of over-the-ear headset. I do love the design of this headset. I mean, it's just, it reminds me of like the Bose system stuff, and I used to like that a lot. It's a really nice device. Really like this thing. And one of the things that I find really interesting is the fact that the Oculus Quest is also coming out very soon at the exact same price, being a mobile device that doesn't plug into a computer. It has an IPD adjustment that's physical, and it's a little bit more to the form of this Rift, as well as, you know, the previous products of Oculus. Whereas this new headset, this Rift S, looks kind of more like the PlayStation, or even more like the Pico Neo, if you've ever seen that. So it's kind of interesting. One thing about this Pico Neo, I gotta say, is that I've been using it a little bit for development for 6DoF experiences, and it's got this nice room tracking, so I can actually walk around, and it tracks really well. It's only got these two cameras right here, and although it does it really well, there's a little bit of delay and latency when I'm moving back and forth quickly. You do notice it, even though this is supposed to be 90 hertz, right? It reminds me a lot of the HP Reverb that I tried out, which had beautiful lenses, but unfortunately the tracking felt more like the Pico Neo and not quite as much like the Quest or the tracking of the Rift S, which seems to be spot on. So one thing I can say at least is, you know, from trying all these hardwares, the tracking on the Rift S, the tracking on the Quest, because they're the same tracking, is significantly better than the tracking that I've tried on the Pico Neo or the HP Reverb at this time. Those things could change for these other companies. I don't know. I'm just trying to give you guys an honest review of the things that I've tried out so that you can have more understanding. So hopefully this video gives you some value, maybe some tips, maybe some kind of understanding that you didn't have before, or if it was redundant, I apologize for wasting your time. It was not my intention. I do want to show you guys more things. I've got a HoloLens review that I'm going to be putting out as well. Anyway, we've got a bunch of the VR content creators heading to PAX, so we're going to be doing recordings. We're going to be playing with the Quest. We're going to be playing with the Rift S. We're all going to have hours of time to play with it and have real, proper review videos that'll come out with actual knowledge firsthand on what this stuff is. So it'll be great to hear that from the rest of the community. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. These headsets are going to keep coming out. This is not going to stop anytime soon. I'm pretty excited to see the future. All right, and that's it. My apologies for rambling on. I got ahead of myself and just kept talking about different things. I'm sure I missed some subjects. If you have a point or a point of view, a question, or anything that you'd like to put at me, just throw it in the comments below. I will definitely respond to you and give you an answer. I really appreciate all of you guys who give me support and who check out the channel. It means a lot to me. Oh, and one more thing. I'll be in LA for a while, so if there's any of you guys that are, you know, doing VR stuff here in LA and you want to, you know, have me check it out, definitely holler at me. I'll be here for a little while, so can't wait to see what fun things we have going on, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. And then I fade. I go this way. Are they gone yet?